The top stories tonight in Y News. U.S. biotech firm Moderna says its vaccine was nearly 95% effective in preventing coronavirus disease 2019. The government to conduct antigen coronavirus testing in evacuation centers.
The death toll from Typhoon Ulysses that cut a massive swath of destruction in Luzon has now climbed to 73. And the Presidential Electoral Tribunal jumps the motion for inhibition filed against Supreme Court Justice Marvic Yanen in the ongoing vice presidential poll protest.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, November 17, 2020. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I am Jorlene Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Angelo Castro III.
First in the news, more promising developments on the COVID-19 vaccine have emerged as U.S. biotech firm Moderna says its shot provides strong protection against coronavirus. Moderna joins Pfizer as a front-runner in the global race to contain a raging pandemic. Kath Dumaraos explains why.
Moderna Incorporated's experimental vaccine is 94.5% effective in preventing COVID-19 based on interim data from a late-stage trial, the company said on Monday, becoming the second U.S. drug maker to report results that far exceed expectations. Together with Pfizer's Incorporated's vaccine, which is also more than 90% effective, and pending more safety data and regulatory review, the United States could have two vaccines authorized for emergency use in December, with as many as 60 million doses of vaccine available this year. The vaccines, both developed with new technology known as messenger RNA, represent powerful tools to fight a pandemic that has infected 54 million people worldwide and killed 1.3 million. Unlike Pfizer's vaccine, Moderna's shot can be stored at normal fridge temperatures, which should make it easier to distribute. Moderna's interim analysis was based on 95 infections among trial participants who received the vaccine or a placebo. Only 5 infections occurred in volunteers who received the vaccine mRNA-1273, which is administered in 2 shots 28 days apart. Moderna expects to have enough safety data required for U.S. authorization in the next week or so and expects to file for emergency use authorization in the coming weeks. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Cagayan provincial government has recorded increasing COVID-19 cases days after being severely damaged by Typhoon Ulysses last week. However, the Tuguegarao City Health Department argues the reason. Joan Nano will tell us why.
As many residents in Cagayan province were evacuated and several have temporarily stayed in tents outside their houses, health and safety protocols against COVID-19 were not strictly observed. Some people were not wearing their face mask and physical distancing was not implemented. Based on the recent data of the Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, COVID-19 cases in Tuguegarao has spiked to 119 and 48 others were recorded in other towns, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in Cagayan to 167.
Ang daming tao na nakikita ko noon na wala ng face mask. Noon kami nagre-rescue at the time, wala ng face mask mga tao. Yung social distancing na, wala na yun, hindi na perfect ng protocol na yun.
However, Tuguegarao City Health Department argues that new COVID-19 cases in the province cannot be associated to the typhoon as it only occurred in the past 3 days. Dr. James Guzman, the city health chief, further explains that the conduct of swab testing during the typhoon was suspended.
To attribute it to the calamity, no, I don't think that we can still see it, no, considering that the typhoon has only been like Friday and Saturday. This we can attribute only to those previously exposed to the positive cases.
Apart from the evacuees, the medical doctor adds that the entry of those groups outside Cagayan bringing relief operations might also contribute in the increase of COVID-19 cases.
Well, the relief operations is good. However, no, if you come from Metro Manila where the transmission rate is still very high, then of course nandiyan pa rin ho yung pangamba, no? Na it's either kayo ang magdadala, no, yung mga taga Manila, o because we have community and local transmission into Gigrao, pwede rin kayo ho ang mag-uwi. And that would be very bad.
Although the provincial government fears the possible entry of people that are possible carriers of the infection, they have no choice but to allow them as thousands of residents in Cagayan are in need of help. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte is likely to place the areas successively ravaged by the recent typhoons under a state of calamity, according to Malacan. Meanwhile, the government is moving to conduct antigen coronavirus testing and evacuation centers. Rosalie Cons explains why.
The combined damage and losses that the country's agriculture sector incurred in the span of 3 weeks due to typhoons Ulysses, Quinta, and Rolly already reached nearly 11 billion pesos, with more than 100,000 farmers and fishermen affected. With this, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, recommended to President Duterte the declaration of a state of calamity in the entire Luzon. According to Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque, the recommendation has reached the office of President Rodrigo Duterte. However, the chief executive has yet to decide on this. The palace expects President Duterte will approve the declaration of state of calamity over areas severely affected by the recent typhoons.
Antayin po natin ang desisyon, pero sigurado naman po ako na yung mga lugar na talagang matinding na apektuhan ng mga bagyon pasunod-sunod ay maipapalagay po, mapapasailalim naman po yan sa state of calamity.
Under the state of calamity, the national government as well as the local government units will be able to utilize funds to respond to the effects of the calamity. Meanwhile, Presidential Spokesperson Roque said the government will use antigen test kits to screen for the coronavirus individuals seeking shelter in evacuation centers. The Octa research team earlier appealed to the government to provide adequate and accessible testing, effective contact tracing and isolation facilities for families in the evacuation centers.
Bago pa po imong kahiyan ng Octa Research Group, ina-assure ko po kayo na in place na po yung pulisiya ng gobyerno na magbigay po ng COVID testing sa mga evacuation centers, at ngayon po ang gagamitin nga po natin para mas marami at mas mabilis ay ang antigen test sa lahat ng ating mga evacuation centers.
However, the palace officials said that they will prioritize patients with symptoms. The Department of Health warned of a strong possibility of local COVID-19 cases increasing due to overcrowding in evacuation centers. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, will soon conduct a dredging project along the major waterways in the country. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Environment Secretary Roy Simato instructed the DENR's regional offices to conduct wide assessment in their waterways that needed to be dredged. DENR Undersecretary Jonas Leones said priority in this project are major waterways like the Cagayan River. It is the longest river in the country with 505 kilometers stretch from Nueva Vizcaya to Apari, Cagayan. The recent floodings in Region 2 was attributed to the swelling of the river. Secretary Simato said in the meeting with President Duterte last Sunday that the government will not spend for the planned dredging of the Cagayan River, but instead, it will earn income.
It will be really a request of the governor to allow a contractor to clean or to dredge the river, and at the same time, in exchange of that, he is allowed to sell this sand. But they have to pay as what the mining company is paying 4% excise tax as a revenue of the government.
Meanwhile, the Laguna Lake Development Authority is also evaluating its proposed rehabilitation plan. The LLDA said The depth from the lake is now only 2.5 meters as compared to around 5 meters from the information given by the senior villagers. Targeted areas like the western side and opening up tributaries needed to be dredged by 2 meters. In this way, inflow of water from major tributaries like the Marikina River will be immediately absorbed by the lake and avoid the widespread flooding during heavy rainfall occurrence.
Yung ibang common term dyan is parang batya na sinasahod niya lahat. Yung tubig ulan na nanggagaling sa ating mga watershed. So kung ang batya natin ay medyo mababaw na, so in-expect natin na kaunting dagdag lang ng tubig, mag-overflow siya.
The LLDA reiterated that the government will also not spend a peso for the rehabilitation. If the project will be approved by next year, it will take 3 to 5 years for it to be completed. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The government thumbed down calls for universities and colleges to ease the academic load of students amid the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic and the destruction caused by successive typhoons. The Department of Education, however, implements academic ease, allowing flexible distance learning activities. Let's find out why from Asher Cadapan Jr.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said he does not see a need for an academic freeze in universities and colleges, having already been flexible under the blended and distance learning scheme being implemented nationwide. Roque explained that the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, has agreed to reject the proposal and instead extend the semester to allow students to catch up with the submission of academic requirements.
At ang decision po ng CHED ay hindi po papayagan itong academic break na hinihingi ng ilan. Kung hindi, ang decision po ng embank ng CHED ay para mag-extend po yung mga pamatasan, mga kolehiyo na hindi nakapagklase dahil sa bagyo ng 1 or 2 weeks para po matapos ang kanilang semestre.
Education Undersecretary Tonisito Omali, on the other hand, said they understand the call for academic freeze, although it is not likely to happen.
Yung academic freeze ay baka sa ngayon po, humingi po kami ng pangunawa, ay hindi po tutugma sa batas na nabanggit ko. May batas na nagsasabi kailan ang unang araw ng pasukan at ilang araw bawat school year at kailan po pwedeng kansilahan po ito.
DepEd, however, implements academic ease to give students ample time to complete their requirements.
Binibigyan na po natin ngayon ng diskresyon ng ating mga guro dun sa panahon na pwedeng gugulin ng mga bata para makumpleto ito, i-extend at piliin na lamang yung mga exercises halimbawa o activity sheets na natatalakayin o ipapagawa.
DepEd further explains that classes may still be suspended in particular areas if necessary, especially if it will take time to cope with any disasters. But DepEd leaves such decision to its regional office and local chief executives of cities and municipalities severely affected by the calamities. In Marikina City, Mayor Marcelino Teodoro has ordered the suspension of classes in all levels for 1 month. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A resolution that seeks to probe the confluence of factors that led to the unprecedented massive flooding in Luzon after the recent typhoons has been filed in both houses of Congress. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why live. Yes, Vincent?
Arlene, several lawmakers on both houses of Congress plan to conduct separate legislative investigations on the massive flooding in parts of Luzon in the wake of typhoons Quinta, Rolly, and Ulysses. Through House Resolution number 1348, the House of Representatives wants to know whether the actions done by authorities were right before and after Typhoon Ulysses battered Luzon. Particularly, the House wants to probe if the National Irrigation Administration has followed the guidelines and protocols on opening the spillway gates of the Magat Dam that resulted to severe flooding in the provinces of Cagayan and Isabela. At the Senate, Senator Risa Hontiveros also filed a resolution to investigate man-made causes of the flooding in Cagayan, Rizal, and Marikina. According to Senator Hontiveros, the exploitation of our natural resources and illegal logging has caused to weaken the country's capacity to mitigate the effect of typhoons.
It's our responsibility to take seriously the protection of nature, investigate human-made causes of flooding, and drastically upgrade the country's preparedness and response.
Vice President Leni Robredo has first called for an investigation following the intensity of damage to Cagayan and Isabela. VP Robredo says that during her visit to Cagayan and Isabela, she was able to learn that despite there is a warning for the Magat Dam to release water, people were not expecting the gravity of the flooding it has caused. The local government of the province of Cagayan is now studying the possibility of filing a case against the National Irrigation Administration due to severe flooding in the area.
I think na-mismanage po nila yung watershed nila. That is why kung dumating po yung tubig, napakarami, at pag mag-release sila ng tubig ay napakarami din po at biglaan din po, no? And hopefully we can do something about this.
Harleen, in an interview, the Vice President also suggested to conduct a study and estimate on what areas will be flooded should a number of the spillway gate of the Magat Dam be opened. That's the latest live. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you so much, Vincent Arboleda, reporting live. And for those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
Typhoon Ulysses proved to be one of the deadliest storms to hit the country in 2020 after it killed 73 people and caused billions worth of damages to the country. Asher Cadapan Jr. tells us why. Asher, go ahead.
Diego, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, confirms that the death toll from the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses now reaches to a total of 73 individuals. Most of the death incidents were from regions 2 and Calabarzon, where massive flooding happened in community areas. 24 people were also reported injured from 4 regions hit by the typhoon, while the number of missing individuals now reaches to 19 persons, where majority are from regions 5 and 2. The number of affected population now rose to more than 700,000 families, or about 3 million individuals across the 8 regions hardly hit by the Typhoon Ulysses. These regions include the National Capital Region, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Regions 1, 2, 3, and 5, and Cordillera Administrative Region. Meanwhile, the NDRRMC has estimated almost 8 billion pesos worth of damages caused by Typhoon Ulysses. These include about 2.7 billion pesos worth of damage in agriculture and more than 5 billion damage in infrastructure. 39,808 houses were also damaged in the affected regions. Diego?
Yes, thank you, Asher Cadapan Jr. for that report. As massive relief operations in the province of Cagayan are being scaled up, the push for quick rehabilitation and reconstruction, as well as long-term solutions to recent flooding, also needs to be intensified. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Municipal mayors of Cagayan that were greatly affected by flooding are calling for the government's funding for the construction of floodgates or river control. Majority of the houses near the Cagayan River were already submerged in floodwater, and there were recorded casualties. The local officials admit they did not expect the massive flooding. According to Apari Cagayan Mayor Brian Chan, there's no mechanism or way to control the flow of water from the river into towns.
Nananawagan ako sa national government kasi yung kulang po namin dito yung sa river control, kaya pumapasok po yung tubig yun sa Cagayan River, kaya nag-overflow kasi karamihan dito sa coastal barangays walang river control, kaya yun ang number 1 na kailangan po namin dito.
Lalo Mayor Florence Oliver Pascual meanwhile said the local government can't afford to shoulder the expenses for the river control of the town.
Lahat po ng tubig na inire-release ng Magat Dam, dito po talaga sa Cagayan ng bagsak. Napakalaki po ng pondo na kakailanganin at hindi po kakayanin ng pondo ng lokal na pamahalaan. Kaya po humihingi po kami ng tulong sa national government para po mabigyan po kami ng pondo para po sa mga ganitong klase ng proyekto.
There are more than 3,000 families in Lalo that were evacuated and affected by the massive flooding. According to Mayor Cristina Antonio of Alcala, dredging is not a long-term solution, especially that Cagayan has the largest river and seas also surrounding it. They would also need experts' plan and recommendations for a long-term solution to prevent flooding every time calamities occur in the province.
Nagsasawa na rin kami sa paulit-ulit na ganito, dala ng masalimuot na problema ng pagbaha. Masalimuot na problema na maaring solusyonan sa pamamagitan ng masinop at maayos na pag-aaral ng ating mga sayantista. At kung tayo lang sana ay makikinig sa kanila at kikilos batay sa kung ano yung kanilang rekomendasyon, magagawan po natin ng mga polisiya na evidence-based at science-based.
For the mayors, the lives of the Cagayanos are more important than the billions worth of projects that could help solve the long-time problem of the province. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The country recorded today 1,148 new COVID-19 cases, with a daily figure still below 2,000 for 8 straight days. The new infections brought the total number of active cases to 28,313, of which 83.6% are mild, 8.2% are asymptomatic, 5.1% are critical, and 2.9% are severe. Based on the latest case bulletin of the Department of Health, or DOH, the total number of cases nationwide has risen to 410,718 since the first case was recorded in January. Cavite reported the most number of new infections today with 88, followed by Quezon City with 52, Rizal 46, Baguio City 44, and the city of Manila 44. The DOH said that 186 patients were tagged as recovered in the last 24 hours, raising the total to 374,543, which is 91.2% of the total COVID-19 figure of the country. The DOH, meanwhile, reported 23 new deaths, bringing the death toll to 7,862.
Meanwhile, Malacanang lauds residents in Metro Manila for having low COVID-19 cases in the recent days. Based on the monitoring of the Octa research team, the positivity rate in the National Capital Region is down to 4 from 5%. The World Health Organization previously said that no more than 5% of test samples should be positive for at least 2 weeks prior to lifting restrictions.
Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa ating taumbayan dahil sinusunod po nila ang pakiusap na ating presidente na magmask, maghugas at umiwas. At dahil dito po, we are now back to the acceptable range as set by the WHO na ang positivity rate should be less than 5%. At 4% patunay po yan na ang mga taga Metro Manila ay nais po talagang pangalagaan ng kanilang kalusugan para sila po ay makapaghanap buhay na.
The Manila City government will continue to give cash incentives to barangays that will register 0 coronavirus disease 2019 infections in the next 2 months. Dante Amento will tell us why.
Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso challenged all barangays in Manila City that he will give 100,000 pesos cash incentive to COVID-19 free barangays from December 1 to January 31, 2021 through Executive Order 45. Recently, Dumagoso awarded the cash incentive to 73 barangays that registered 0 new COVID-19 cases. Barangays that have already received the cash incentive during the first phase of the program are still entitled to receive another 100,000 pesos in case they still register 0 new COVID-19 cases in the next 2 months.
Sa mga hindi nanalo, meron kayong pag-asa ngayon. Sa mga nanalo naman, pwede kayong magtuloy at mas malaki ang incentive na inyong makukuha.
Dumagoso also clarified that all COVID-19 data would be verified and scrutinized by Manila Health Department. Dumagoso believes their effort will motivate the barangays to enhance their campaign against the virus.
Ang tagumpay ng programang ito ay nakasalalay sa taong bayan sa barangay. Kami naman sa pamahalang lokal ay hindi naman po tayo titigil ng mga maliliit na kaparaanan na patuloy natin, hindi man natin maperpekto, patuloy natin masuppress. At huwag lumaganap ng gusto na hindi na natin kayang bigyan ng tamang medical attention.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Senator Risa Hontiveros remains firm that the alleged anomalies involving the 9.5 billion peso joint venture agreement for the construction of the SEA Games facilities should be looked into by the Senate. This was after Senate President Vicente Soto III expressed disfavor, highlighting the achievements of the country during the sports event. He also noted that the ombudsman is there should a probe be warranted. According to Hontiveros, the Senate should not be prevented from doing its job.
Huwag nating daanin sa pagdadabog o ipasa na lang basta-basta sa ombudsman. Dahil ginisa ang mamamayang Pilipino sa sariling mantika dito sa joint venture agreement na ito. Hindi ito tungkol sa pamumulitika. This is about accountability. Let's not use our athletes as an excuse to sweep this issue under the rug.
She adds the chairpersons of the Senate committees that have been referred to take up the issue should not be preempted on how an inquiry should be conducted. It is still unknown when will the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will tackle the issue, but Committee on Sports Chairman Christopher Bongo said he would give his support should there be an investigation. Last week, Senator Pia Cayetano expressed anger after Hontiveros called for an investigation on the possible fake joint venture between the Bases Conversion and Development Authority or BCDA and Malaysian firm MTD Capital Berhad for the construction of sports facilities in New Clark City. Hontiveros claimed that the Malaysian firm advanced nothing as the capital it was supposed to provide for the construction was funded by a loan from government-owned Development Bank of the Philippines. The BCDA allegedly reimbursed the 9.5 billion peso fund in December 2019, which was sourced from the 2019 national budget. Hontiveros believes the project was packaged as a joint venture to evade the rules on public bidding. In a statement, the BCDA already denied the allegations, saying that the construction of the facilities was done in a completely above-board and legal manner. Both houses of Congress expressed their deep condolences for the passing of Cebu City North District Representative Raul del Mar on Monday evening. His death was confirmed in a statement of the Cebu Citizens Press Council. The 79-year-old lawmaker died in a hospital in Manila. The Senate adopted a resolution expressing the upper chamber's deepest condolences to Del Mar's family. Meanwhile, House Speaker Alan Velasco noted the late congressman's dedication to his duty even while in the hospital. Del Mar authored the Cebu Press Freedom Day Law and the expanded Soto Law. He was born in Cebu City on March 20, 1941.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screens and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or PET, denied the motions for inhibition filed against Associate Justice Marvic Leonen in the ongoing vice presidential poll protest of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Dante Amento will tell us why live. Yes, Dante, go ahead.
Yes, Diego, in a unanimous decision today, the Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, rejects motion of former Senator Bongbong Marcos and Solicitor General Jose Calida, asking the inhibition of Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonen in the election protest filed by Marcos against Vice President Leni Robredo. The SC likewise asked Kalida as well as the Manila Times reporter Jomar Canlas why they should not be cited in contempt. Leonen is the justice in charge of Marcos' election protest. He replaced Associate Justice Alfredo Benjamin Cagiwa as the ponente or justice in charge of the case in October 2019. In seeking Leonen's inhibition, Marcos cited the Associate Justice alleged bias against the Marcoses. According to the Marcos camp, they have not yet received a copy of the resolution. VP Robredo, on the other hand, also has no statement on the matter. And that's the latest live. Back to you, Jacob.
Thank you, Dante Amento, reporting live.
And for the news abroad, here's Stephanie C. reporting live from Hong Kong.
The strongest Atlantic hurricane of the year, Iota, has made landfall in Nicaragua as a Category 4 storm. Marvy Delphine will give us the details live. Marvy?
Stephanie, Central America faces another catastrophic slam as Hurricane Iota, with top-of-the-scale sustained winds of 155 miles per hour, made landfall on Puerto Cabezas, a city on Nicaragua's Caribbean coast, after pummeling the Colombian islands of San Andres and Providencia. Iota is the record 30th named storm of 2020's Atlantic hurricane season and is the second November hurricane to ever reach Category 5 levels. But as it moved ashore, it downgraded to a Category 4. The National Hurricane Center warned that heavy rainfall from Iota could lead to life-threatening flash flooding and river flooding across portions of Central America. Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala have evacuated residents living in low-lying areas and near rivers where Iota is expected to hit. While some evacuees seek shelter, most locals fear the risk of COVID-19 and has refused to leave their homes. In a joint press conference, Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez and Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei said Central America was the worst affected region in the world by climate change. Research shows that as climate change continues to cause sea surface temperatures to rise, hurricanes are more likely to be larger, more powerful, and life-threatening when they form over hotter oceans where they draw their energy from. Stephanie?
Thank you, Marvy Delphine, reporting live from Australia. Georgia's election officials uncover more than 2,000 uncounted ballots in the presidential race, but officials say it won't still affect the outcome of the elections in the state. Sonny Cause explains why.
More than 2,600 ballots from the state of Georgia in the United States of America were not counted in the last November 3 election after the state started its statewide recount by hand last Friday as requested by U.S. President Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger blamed the problem on Floyd County's election officials failing to upload votes from the memory card in the ballot scanning machine. More than 5 million ballots are being manually recounted in the state, and the uncounted ballots from the Democratic stronghold in the state mark the most significant issues so far uncovered in the recount process. According to the Office of the Secretary of State, the newly discovered ballots will add around 800 votes to Trump, which still leaves Biden in the lead. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, another state disputed by the Trump campaign, Trump's campaign spokesman blasted U.S. media for its reporting regarding its legal challenges in the state. According to the president's campaign, mainstream media in the country erroneously claimed that the campaign had dropped its legal claim of nearly 700,000 ballots processed illegally and in secret. The Trump campaign maintains that even with the revised lawsuit, they still aim on blocking Pennsylvania from certifying a Biden victory in the state, and they still claim that Democrat voters were treated favorably more than the Republican ones. Currently, Biden leads in Pennsylvania by more than 69,000 votes. Sonny Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, USA. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Hong Kong's number 2 official has hit out at opposition lawmakers who resigned en masse over a recent resolution by Beijing, saying it was unwise and irresponsible for them to abandon their duties of monitoring the government in the legislature. Chief Secretary Matthew Chang Kin-chung, as well as pro-establishment heavyweights, also backed Beijing's move requiring the removal of any legislative council member found to have violated their duties of allegiance or endangered national security. The resolution passed on by Wednesday by China's top legislative body, the National People's Congress Standing Committee, resulted in the immediate disqualification of 4 legislators who had previously been barred from running for re-election. 15 pan-Democrat colleagues quit en masse on Thursday to protest against the decision. The New South Wales government is handing every adult $100 worth of vouchers to spend on dining and entertainment. Earl Briones will tell us why live. Earl?
Stephanie, Sydney's Central Business District will be the first to try and launch the state's Out and About scheme next month as part of the New South Wales state government's economic plan to help industries that suffered most from COVID-19 to recover. This includes hospitality and entertainment industries. The $100 amount will be equally split into 4 vouchers, where 2 can be spent on dining and the other 2 can be spent on entertainment. New South Wales Treasurer Dominic Perrottet mentioned that the stimulus will encourage people to go out, spend more, and return to business.
And today I can announce $500 million in stimulus for New South Wales restaurants, visitor sites and cultural attractions through the Out and About voucher. Every adult will receive $100 worth of vouchers to the cost of eating out and going out in New South Wales. Businesses, Mr. Speaker, are the lifeblood of our community, and today we ask people to go out and enjoy the best that our state has to offer and support businesses who are doing it tough.
Said Out and About scheme is part of the 2020-2021 budget delivered by the state treasurer earlier today, where he recognized that the dining and entertainment industries were among the hardest hit by the pandemic. The vouchers are not valid to be spent on retail shops or on products such as alcohol and cigarettes, nor to be used for gambling purposes. Participating business establishments must register in Service New South Wales app to be part of the scheme, as well as ensure that they are COVID-safe registered. Stephanie?
That's Earl Briones from Australia. An Italian child influencer challenges disability stereotypes. Ia De Vera explains to us why live. Ia?
Stephanie, a 7-year-old child influencer from Italy, is now gaining heartfelt support all over the world when his videos went viral on social media platforms, proving that disability does not hinder one from inspiring others. Sirio Persichetti is a child social media influencer, has a condition called spastic tetraplegia, a subset of spastic cerebral palsy that affects movements of 3 limbs. In Sirio's condition, he cannot swallow solid food nor speak words, as his mouth is permanently open. He eats liquid nutrition and has a tracheotomy to help him breathe. Despite having this condition, heartwarming videos on his social media accounts show that he can play with other kids, drive his toy electric car, walk on his own, and even carry his backpack going to school. Valentina, Sirio's mother, decided to create a website, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts to document her son's everyday life to inspire others. Overwhelming and powerful response has been received by their family, especially from families living in similar situations. In an interview, Valentina said that they wanted to tell the story of disability in a different way, to tell it for what it is, something that is not easy to face, but that, if channeled in the right direction with the right help, it can allow these children to enjoy something that can actually be called life. Valentina said that she wanted to show the world that having special needs does not mean an end to fun for a child. Also, she wanted to break the stigma that often surrounds disability. Stephanie?
Thank you for that live report, Ia de Vera. For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on the right side of your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Stephanie C., reporting live from Hong Kong. A team of researchers in Cornell University in New York have created a stretchable sensor that can give robots and virtual reality a human touch. Here's why from Nina Armilio.
Robots with human touch? Why not? Researchers at Cornell University have created a fiber optic sensor that combines low-cost LEDs and dyes, resulting in a stretchable skin for robots. The sensor can detect deformations such as pressure, bending, and strain. The researchers say this sensor could give soft robotic systems and anyone using augmented reality technology the ability to feel the same rich, tactile sensations that mammals depend on to navigate the natural world. The team, led by Rob Shepard, Associate Professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering in the College of Engineering, are working to commercialize the technology for physical therapy and sports medicine. Their paper on stretchable distributed fiber optic sensors was published on November 13 in Science. The paper's co-lead authors are doctoral student Heden Bai and Sholi, PhD. The project builds upon an earlier stretchable sensor created in Shepard's Organic Robotics Lab in 2016. According to Shepard, this wearable technology can be used for an augmented reality simulation that teaches a user how to fix his car or change a tire. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news, November 17, 2020. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I'm Angelo Castro III. We serve the people, we give glory to God.